Wholesome Roots. So it's the weekend, that's why you're seeing me today, which that's pretty usual. Feels like I haven't held the camera in a while. I guess, well, last weekend Rose was gone and I was watching the boys, so she had the camera with her. So yeah, it would be a little while since I've had the camera, but today it is time to do the normal weekend thing that I do, which is to build a new paddock. But I'm gonna do it a little differently this time, because with a little bit of help from our friends, we were able to get an order from Premier One, which is the company that we use for our electric net fencing. So instead of building a brand new paddock today, I'm just going to expand the one that they're already in. This is the paddock that we're in currently. We got them just outside of the barn, kind of closer towards our house, and we're keeping this mulch pile out because it's growing a lot of mushrooms. And then you see the green fencing comes around and then turns into our white fence. That's a short 100-foot section, and goes around that way. Well, today I'm going to expand it to include some of this stuff, which these areas we haven't, they're like partial parts of the pasture that we haven't been able to really reach this season, because this season with all the goats, we've pretty much have to have a lane to get them out to the paddock, or else, you know, 20 goats will go running around like crazy, or however many is in that group. But you see, most of our pasture has been pretty well grazed by the goats all summer, but these areas up towards the road, you know, towards the top end of the pasture, we just haven't been able to reach. So with a couple extra sections, I'm gonna try to include some of these areas that they haven't been in yet. Here it is. This is the big box that the Premier One order comes in. Really like this brand. I know there's other brands, but Premier One is one that I've trusted for a long time, so that's what we'll stick with. Let's see what we got. This is what we received in our Premier One order. 2 150-foot sections of the permanent style. That's what we like. It is a little bit more sturdy. They do make a lighter version, which that might meet your needs if you're ever to order it, where the posts are a little bit thinner and it's a lot easier for one person. Premier One recommends that 2 people set up the permanent, just because it is a little more cumbersome. And I know you see me, I always do it by myself, but I mean, it is a little more difficult. It would be easier with 2 people. I'm just able to handle it because I've done it so often. But so you might want the lighter version, but we like the good sturdy thick, the permanent style. And so these are the measurements that we go with. The 6, that's 6-foot intervals, 48 inches tall, and 10 strands are electric. So that's what those numbers mean. I know I read it off backwards, but that's what that means. Anyway, so we got 300 feet total of new fencing, which currently we're using 300 feet plus the 100-foot section, so we have 400 total. So now we have added 300 more feet, so 700 more feet of fencing able to be used. That's going to be helpful this winter. When they have less to graze, we can just make a bigger area so they have more room to roam. What else did we get? Well, I will show you what happens to the spikes. Actually, let's go look now, because I'm taking down this section. Come with me, y'all. So, I'll just disconnect this. One hand, it's a little difficult. Bear with me. Had to use two hands. Alright, let's take this down and pull it up. So, this is what happens to those spikes over time. We like the double spike because it's easy to press your foot on it when it's a perfect H shape. You can kind of press it into soft ground rather easily. Well, the ground is not always soft. And so what happens over time, I mean, these fences are, what, like a couple years old, I think now, is they get bent. Go back to the new one and show you. They start out in a very nice shape like this. I call it an H shape because I'm including the shape of the post. It's like a lowercase h. But if you think about it, the ground's not always soft. So sometimes when the ground's really hard, maybe there's a rock in the way that you don't see under the ground, sometimes they get pushed out like that, or sometimes they get pushed in like this, and pretty much the only way, you know, to handle that is to try to bend it back. Well, you can only bend things so many times before they're just done. I mean, this fence is still usable. I can still bend the pieces somewhat and make it work, but get to a point when the fence falls over and, you know, Rhodes or somebody goes out and they're like, oh man, I couldn't get it back in the ground right because it's so bent. So through Premier 1, you can't just buy the bottom section, you have to buy a whole replacement post. So I got 5 more of the double spikes to replace some of the really bad ones. I might not get to replace them all today because I'm just expanding the paddock. I'm not taking it down. When I take down this paddock, I will replace some of the sections. I also trying something different. You know, they make a single spike, which I have not been a big fan of, the single spike, because it's harder to get into the ground, but they have a single spike version that they call a drivable post, and it's got the brown cap. The brown cap means it's a drivable post, and a drivable post means you can stick it in the ground and you can use your own mallet, or I bought from Premier 1 the dead blow single piece hammer. We had a rubber mallet, but it just kept falling apart. So I bought the one from Premier 1 because it's all one piece, so I know it's not going to fall apart, and it's what they recommend for their drivable posts. So stick the post in the ground and you have the mallet to hammer it down. I'm not holding the post steady, so this might fall, but to try to give you a quick example. Yeah, like that, only harder. And you drive it into the ground. So I'm trying that out. I got a few drivable posts, and maybe if I come to a section that is just, you know, really tough, later on I'll take out the double spike and put in a drivable post so I can hammer it down. I'm also going to use this for hammering down the double spikes because like I said, our rubber mallet kept falling apart, and a metal hammer, that's just going to contribute more to the bending that is undesirable. I know I've been talking for, you know, going on 7 minutes now about fencing. Now it's time to actually set some up. So let's do it. each section of Premier fencing that you buy comes with this handy little bag full of extras, a couple extra caps, some extra line that has the metal in it to make it electric, and some just regular strands for the vertical pieces that aren't electric. That won't do. How am I supposed to put my fence up? Oh, hello, old friend. That was fun. The paddock expansion is now complete. So you can tell the area that they had before because you see it's pretty well grazed. And now I've included all of this stuff over here. Nice lush forage for them to eat. And pretty much brought the goats closer to the house than they've ever been before, at least this season. We might have been up here once last year, but we only had 8 goats back then. So as you see, we're growing, and we got the new fence up, and we are trying to continue cleaning up this pasture. And after this, and maybe some of the sections further back that way, we can say that we have grazed this whole pasture. Now, our new fence, I went with white. I like green. Green's my favorite color, but it's just not as visible. So I got white this time. And our old white fence section was only 100 feet long. It had some of the worst bent spikes out of all of them. So here's probably the worst one. I mean, this is just what happens, y'all, after so long. They can only go on the ground so many times before this happens. I did swap a few of the white posts with the drivable type single spike. I'm not a fan of single spike usually, but with this, the drivable post that's supposed to be hit with the hammer, I thought that was pretty cool, because this ground right here is really tough, and this is probably what messed up a lot of our double spikes. The new fence, it's all double spike, and I gotta say, after being used to the bent up ones for so long, some brand new double spikes, man, those go in the ground quite easily. Very little effort, just step on them with your foot and they went right in. You just got to kind of feel it out. If you feel something hard under the ground, like a tree root or a rock or something, you want to move it, because you don't want to bend these up. I mean, but just over time, that's gonna happen. But anyway, we have the hugest, biggest mega paddock that we've ever built, and I think the goats are really gonna enjoy it. I also ordered a couple more of these alligator clip thingies, because it's good to have extras of these. The one we already have, it has some frays in it, so I'll probably replace it. Having the smaller energizer powering the buck pen, we'll need an extra for that too. And they come in handy to have extras, because now that we have more fencing, if we ever want to, let's say, make 2 paddocks or, you know, stuff like that, we'll be able to energize them easier. So they're not very expensive, so that's always a good purchase to have some extras. The fencing comes with this warning sign that Electrizone, electric fence, clôture électrique, cercado electrico. I like the way that sounds. But you know, it's good to have that warning on some of the fencing, especially if you have a lot of visitors that are coming to your farm, just so they're aware that the fence is hot, and they could get zapped if they touch it. And Premier One also included this neat little catalog I haven't went through yet. So nice of them. The new paddock is complete. Now all left to do is to milk the goats and let them out here so they can enjoy their bigger space. Want to say a big thank you, because this wouldn't have been possible without the help of some of you viewers. You know who you are. You guys have contributed to us, and you guys want to see us grow, so here you go. We're growing, as you can tell. I just want to say thanks again, because we didn't ask for your help, and you were so generous to give us a donation here and there, and we're putting it to use. And we just want you to know that. Thank you very much. Premier One Fencing. That is the brand that we trust, and I recommend it for you. And if you go to Premier One and order your very own sections of any of their products, of fencing or any of the stuff that they make, and you mention Wholesome Roots in your order, they're going to give you a 0% discount. I know, that's incredible, incredible deal, incredible generosity from them. But yeah, they really appreciate your business, and if you tell them Wholesome Roots sent you, you're going to get that 0% discount. Now I'm going to bag and save all these bent up pieces as I replace them, because I still don't believe that they are trash worthy. You know us, we will figure out something to do with them. Maybe if I had a vise, like a table vise or something, I could bend these back into a better shape. For right now, we're just gonna put them back in the box with the other spares, and we'll figure out something to do with them later. Now let's see how long it takes them to figure out that they can come over here. Not very long. Frankenstein's monster, what are you doing here?
I'm just coming in the video.
Just coming in the video. What have you guys been doing on the porch?
Looking at this big pumpkin.
Looking at that big pumpkin. Look at that big pumpkin, guys. That thing's incredibly large. What else have you done on the porch today?
Just play with my mask.
Just play with your mask. What is behind you? Show us, pick some of that up and show us.
It's corn.
Corn? What? Did you shuck all that corn?
Yeah, we did.
You did?
Yeah.
What kind of corn is that?
I have no idea. It's kind of like a rainbow one.
A rainbow one? Yeah, maybe it's rainbow. But is it the kind of corn you eat, or is it popcorn?
Maybe it's actually hard, so maybe you do it for popcorn.
Yeah, you got some popcorn. That's awesome.
It's corn, and you can make it into popcorn.
Awesome. What do you think, Liam?
Thumbs up. I choose the thumbs up.
Oh, you're gonna do figure out what do you have?
This.
Oh, how to wear a headscarf thing. Oh yeah, I got one of those too. Cool. Goats! Come on, goats! I need you in the background for a video. I love that they come when I call them. That's pretty awesome. The sheep I used to work with, they would never do that. Hey, fancy girl. Hi, goats. Well, the goats have really enjoyed their large new paddock today that we made this morning, and I've been watching them eat and munch all day. We would have had some more footage of that, but the camera died earlier, so it had to charge. And we're all cleaned up. Liam and Rowan and me. Mommy's in the house getting
I'm not just any kid. I'm a Frankenstein.
He's a Frankenstein monster. And Rose is in the house getting a dish ready, and we're about to head out to our friend's house to eat dinner tonight. So that about does it for us today. You guys know the drill by now, I hope. You know what to do. I don't even have to say the word. I'm fighting not saying what you guys are supposed to do about the video. There's a hint. All right, well, you guys have a great night, and thank you for watching Wholesome Roots.
Excited right over here.
That's excited right here? Oh yeah.